My presentation is on using blogging to connect with students and develop relationships with students. I use blogging instead of QuickWrites, and I use a platform called Ning.com. Anyone familiar with Ning? Okay. All right. And then the other thing I want to show you is a way to stay halfway, kind of, keep your toe in the door on staying current on new technologies. So I want to just briefly highlight a personal learning network for you, how to set up a personal learning network, and how to follow tech brokers who I don't know how because they're full-time teachers, but spend a lot of time finding really neat applications for us without us doing it. So I'll show you how to follow some different people and have them be your tech brokers and help you stay current on what's happening in technology. And then I have a little present for you, an example of what I've just found called Instagrok, which is awesome. So I'm going to share that with you, and that will be my presentation. Saw my student use it in her class today. So networking, how I define networking as a tool of communication. We who are not digital natives, remember when you used to have face-to-face contact for networking or over the telephone. Our students, however, use platforms such as Facebook. I don't see very many of them using MySpace anymore. Google Plus is a new platform. I also don't see very many people really engaging with that very much, and texting, and mainly for social purposes. I work with two different groups of students. I work with freshmen in what was University 101, but I primarily work in the credential program with graduate students. Both of those populations are significantly different in terms of how they engage with using technology, and both groups of students have different challenges and different strengths when it comes to using social media for academic purposes. So I just want to highlight how I use this Ning platform with the freshman students and how I use Ning platform with graduate students, because it's very much different. Okay, so the platform that I use for blogging is Ning.com. This used to be completely free and readily available to all of us to use. Now they've moved to having to pay for their services. However, that said, they still have a free platform if you're willing to be sponsored by Pearson. I get myself sponsored every time I set up a new class by Pearson. I've had absolutely no issues with them, no intrusion into my classes, and the turnaround time for them to sponsor you is really quick. I usually do it the first couple of weeks of school, and the turnaround is within a couple of days. So it still is free if you're willing to be sponsored by Pearson. They'll sponsor you if it serves educational purposes. So Ning is a network platform. How many of you use LinkedIn? Anyone use LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a network platform. Ling is a different platform than that. Uh-oh, no, don't want to do that. Where'd my PowerPoint go? Sorry, I'm not a PC person. I always struggle here. So I want to show you some different applications, and I want to show you two different applications. One is the University 101 class. And this is a group that see using internet as breathing air. They don't know a time that they haven't had access to technology. So it's very comfortable for them, very common for them. The issue with the freshman class is that they tend to use internet for social purposes. So there's a lot of social language in their writing rather than academic writing. And one of the things I really try to work with them is to get them to a place where they are writing using more academic language than they start out at the very beginning. So what they do is I ask them to blog once a week. I have a rubric, and the blogging, I give them prompts and different suggestions. But with my freshman class, I just really want to keep a pulse on them in terms of how they're doing at the university, because University 101 is a bridge to being part of the university community. So I leave it pretty open-ended, and but I do ask them to make connections to the book in common that we're reading. I ask them to make connections to their research that they're doing, and often I have open-ended, just basically how are you doing overall type prompts for them. So as they write, it provides for me a way to really get to know them on a very much a personal level. More so than you often do at the very beginning of a class, because they tend to open up in blogging. They tend to see it as an extension of Facebook, and they tend to be pretty honest. And I respond to them with questions, just quick comments, but it quickly develops a community within and outside of the classroom. So this is how I use it with the freshman class. The issues with them, the challenges is they tend to use small I. They tend to use a lot of texting language. They tend to use phrases instead of full sentences, and they tend to scatter their ideas all over the place. But what I see across the course of the semester, because we do have a rubric, is that I see more academic language creep in. I see that, and I ask them to read each other's, so they get authentic modeling from each other with stronger writers, helping writers that aren't used to writing at this level of academic language. So I see it as a big plus. The other way I use this network is with my graduate students in the credential program. And this is more sophisticated and serves more purposes. This, I introduce the Ning to my credential class each year. They also have to blog, but in their blogging, they are asked to make consistent, continuous connections between what they're learning in seminar and what they're learning in the field as a practice student teaching. So, and I also make them, that sounds terrible. I also require for them to speak about social language and academic language. I require them to cite their readings and bring in any other research that they are using in their work. So for the graduate students, their writing is more advanced, and it also is an ongoing process. So once they graduate, they stay in the network. We have some 70 students in here now, and I can't say that I fully have developed this the way I want to develop it, mainly because of time constraints. But I can say that if I want to send out a broadcast to our graduate students that are out in the field, this is a very quick, wonderful way to do it, because I can just send a broadcast message to everyone. They get it because when they sign up, I ask them to use their personal email, not their university email. So this has been pretty effective when we wanted to really reach out and get a hold of our graduate members. And also, some of them will come in and offer advice to students that they've mentored in the field, and check in on them and comment on their blogs. And sometimes they post in the forum something exciting they found. So it's a way to make connections between the current credential students and students who have gone before them. But I'm just beginning to really explore that and want to find ways to make it more viable and more where they use it a lot more than they're using it right now. Are there any questions on this? Yes.
So the blogs, I'm trying to figure out why you need Ning over Facebook, and is it just that the blogs are all open to the public?
The blogs are private.
Okay. And then, so why would you use this instead of just having a Facebook page?
For one thing, well, let me go back just a second. Each student has their own page. Where they set up their own profile, And I can see their growth over time from when they first start blogging to towards the end of the semester. So it provides a thread, and it provides a closed community within those that are members of the community, and the opportunity for them to write more in detail, because in Facebook you only have so much space that you can explore what you want to say. Blogging doesn't limit them. They can write as much as they want to write. And I like the control, I guess, having it all in one place, the way that it is.
Can you set it up public?
Yes.
If you wanted the public to be able to read your blog?
Yes, you could. Yes. But I don't do that. I keep it private. Yes. Yes.
Quick question. I've seen you do this for quite a few years now, and I know this community has been growing. Have you removed students after they graduate, or do they continue to stay in and be part of the community?
I don't remove them. They can remove themselves if they want to, but I do keep them in. And it's something I wish that I want to, I haven't yet, explored more fully in terms of connecting with them in that way. Because the reality is a lot of times when they graduate, I also invite them into my Facebook page and friend them after they graduate. And I do a much better job of keeping in touch with them through Facebook that way than I do through Ning. They don't tend to use Ning like they do Facebook in their personal lives.
Social?
Yeah, more social, and it's much broader context for what they want to use.
So you have like an alumni?
Yeah, there's 79 members here, and so each year I add a new credential class, but I don't take away a class that's graduated. So they're there, and like I said before, they'll go in when they know somebody and comment on their blogs, or they'll post something really exciting that they found that they want to share with the community in the forum. So, and I also, one other thing I use here is a way to share resources and sites. It allows you three, well, more than three. Just going to scroll down here. Categories, avenues, vehicles to put in information for your network. So I like to post links and sites there for them as well. Yes. I do. It is not. It's part of the syllabus and part of their coursework, but it's not in the network. But I'm more than willing to share that. I ask them to blog every week, and I ask them, and I tell them I'm looking for professional language, academic language, in-depth responses versus Facebook-type responses, and that they are showing consistency in blogging, and that I see growth over time, that they're using the assigned readings, that they refer to class discussions, make connections to their field experience. And people, you wonder about that and ask about that. Isn't that a lot? I think that really has to do with how comfortable you are with technology. For those of us that do a lot of cross-platform work, you know, using Facebook and using different personal learning networks, which I can show you. Going through the blogs is actually relaxing for me and a pretty quick process. And I know that sounds strange, but it really is. It's not like reading, it's not like doing heavy grading or anything. It's kind of like being on your Facebook and reading through, and I can do it pretty quickly. And so for grading, to get to the grading part, I wait till the end. So I comment every week on their, and I don't comment to all of them all the time, but I read them every week and I comment and ask questions just to further their thinking. And at the end of the process, when I showed you that one student's, I can go back to their page and look for that consistency over time, the weekly blogging, the use of social language, the references to readings, to class discussions, and I can just, and that's when I grade it. And I can send them a private message. If I'm not seeing that they're, that they are blogging to the criteria of the rubric, I send them a personal message and I said, you know, I'm not seeing that you're consistently blogging. I'm not seeing references to the reading. I will ask them, maybe you want to rephrase this and use some higher level of academic language. And so I'll mentor them through the process like that. I also like for them to see how they can use this kind of communication in beyond the classroom, beyond a classroom requirement. That's another reason I like Ning. In terms of transfer into the grade book, so far I haven't had an issue with that, but then again, I'm not working with mega-sized classes. And I don't know how I would do it if I had classes like Kim works with. That would be beyond my experience and expertise, to be honest with you. One of the things that has been surprising to me is the kind of feedback I get from students that I wasn't expecting to get that. So throughout the course, they'll take their own pulse on the class and give very authentic feedback about in terms of what they're getting out of the reading, what they're getting out of class discussions, the connections that they're making to the field. And I really appreciate that. I really value that. It's not something I've solicited from them in terms of asking them a direct prompt to give feedback on the class. It's something that they do through their own volition. And so that has been a very nice connection. And relationship building, I mentioned that with the University 101. Using it, if any of you have a field component to your programs, is very helpful because you keep a pulse on how things are going for them in the field. And with budget cuts and us not being able to get in the field as often as we used to be able to get in the field, this allows an ongoing weekly check-in with them. And you can pick up on, like, a student saying he told his class to shut up, for example. You can get an immediate, that you can address something immediately that you might not have even been aware of. So I really appreciate that, and that's another outcome that, that wasn't the intention at the beginning, but really helps keep that connection with the students and know what's going on out in their practice when you're not seeing them every week. So I really like that. And then again, that being able to stay connected to your students after they graduate and having them be able to stay connected with each other, because in the credential program a lot of times students are undergraduate class in cross grade groupings. So sophomores will be with juniors, juniors will be with seniors, and they develop relationships there. And through Ning, through the one for the graduate credential class, they can keep those relationships going. So they will be the ones that will go back in and make comments on blogs that they see from students that they've had prior to the credential program. So it's nice for that too. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to show you, what I've learned, is the time commitment. How am I doing? 5 minutes? Use it or lose it. You do have to stay connected with them with giving them comments and questions, because if you don't stay connected, they don't stay connected, and then it can quickly dissolve into just a rote exercise rather than an authentic experience. So they need to see that it's authentic for you as well and that you value it, to have that quality of the kind of blogging that you want to see. And then again, we already talked about the time commitment, but I really think if you use a lot of technology and you get into, which we could probably debate whether that's a good thing or bad thing, but if you get into that speed reading mode that you get into when you use a lot of technology, it has not so far for me been the kind of impact on time that people might think that it might be, but that's just from my own personal experience. Okay, so the present I want to show you. I'm going to skip over this because we talked about that. But I just wanted to quickly show you about creating a personal learning network. You'll have access to this PowerPoint. So you can go into this link. I'm not going to open it right now, but it guides you through how to create a personal learning network. And basically, a personal learning network, there's different sites that you can use. There's Google Sites. I use iGoogle. And what it does is it provides you, when you, I use it as my home page, it provides you that kind of long distance mentoring, that tech broker, I also have mentors in my field of working with English learners, access to keeping yourself current on what's going on in research in your field, in the use of technology in your field, and I just really found it very valuable. So The platforms I use in my personal learning network, the one I really recommend is Google Reader. When you see the RSS feed on when you're following different bloggers or different websites, when it has an RSS feed, it gives you the option to put it in Google Reader, and that takes it right to your Google page and puts it there for you to peruse. And you'll see right now I have 157, and it's like, oh my gosh, how did I get 157? But I scan these and I don't read all of them. I have favorites of the favorites. I also use Twitter the same way. I used to think when Twitter first came out it was just a narcissistic platform, that really what was the point. But I found that people that I really respect in my field, researchers, advocates, voices in the field, when I follow them on Twitter, I get to stay really on top of current events in education in my case, and sometimes I'll follow them on Twitter and I'll also have them in Google Reader. And then Facebook, of course, and different news things. But anyway, personal learning networks, the most important thing there for me is having those tech brokers. One of my favorite is Free Technology for Teachers, and that's going to be my gift to you at the end of my presentation here. He is phenomenal. He's a high school social studies teacher. His name is Richard Byrne. And he is a prolific researcher of technology tools, and he does a very good job of vetting them before he shares them. I think he's up to 20,000 followers right now. But he's an example of that tech broker that I was referring to, that does the heavy lifting for you so that you can just avail yourselves of what he has to offer. And I want to just close with something I just got from him. Where'd it go? Sorry. It's not here. Okay, well, I'll just show you on a regular site. It's Instagrok. Put this down. This is your, for the writing teachers out there. This is a new search engine. Let's put, give me a term you would like me to search. Someone who's doing a research project right now. Occupy. So you put Occupy in the search engine, and it provides you, this is a, must be an older, is this an older computer? But it might be because of the platform, but it gives you a concept web map that you can't see right now, but you can click on any of the sub-concepts, and it provides those for you. And then it gives you, over here, this isn't a good example of, must not be good with Explorer. But try it on your own in Firefox, instagrok.com, and what it does is it provides you a concept map that gives you sub-concepts on your research. They can click on the sub-concepts, and over on the side it gives web sites for them, in both websites in terms of text, in terms of images, in terms of videos, and develops a map for them that they can take further. They can go on the sub-concepts. It is just awesome. I put in positive psychology, and it brought up well-respected researchers in the field. And I put in some different terms from my world, and it did bring up a good sampling of the research there. So I thought with freshman classes, etc., it would be a good launch. Anyway.